Welcome to the Sam and Joe VA Show, where we teach women just like you how to start and scale a thriving virtual assistant business.
We're your hosts, Sam and Joe, and get ready to have the control, flexibility, and freedom you've always dreamed of.
Welcome to episode 219. Ready to be a VA but worried about the job market? Listen to this.
I feel like we have been, especially the last couple of months, inundated with emails and messages from aspiring virtual assistants, really like with this question, wanting to know, like, I'm ready to go all in. I've been lurking for a while. I've been doing my research. I'm super keen. I know this is the path I want to take. But my God, have you seen all the redundancies out there? Have you heard about all the restructures that are happening? Like, if you believe what the news is telling us, this would be the worst time to be going out on your own and starting a business.
And also coming into the VA industry and seeing the large directory that you have here in New Zealand, Sam, over in the Virtual Assistant Network, and seeing how many virtual assistants there are and thinking, wow, like, is this just too many in here now? Is everyone like coming from their roles and into the VA space? Is there even going to be enough work for everyone, enough clients to go around?
Yeah. Is there enough work? Is there enough clients? Is there space for me and what I've got to offer? Is what I've got to offer enough?
There's a lot of questions that come up, actually.
There's a lot of questions. You know, and I feel like these are great questions to be asking when somebody reaches out to us with these worries, sharing these fears with us. To us, it's a green flag. Like, you're taking it seriously. You're not jumping into this because you think it's going to be a quick buck, that it's going to happen overnight. Like, you've done your research. You know that it is going to take work. Like, it's simple, but it's not necessarily easy. And you want to make sure that it's going to work for you, that this is the right move for you. So in terms of when somebody reaches out to us, this is a green flag. It's great. Keep on reaching out and asking these questions.
Yeah, it's very prudent to make sure that you've done your research, to be considering this really well. Is this the right thing for you? Are you going to be able to make money in this business, in this market? Like, very prudent. So congratulations to everyone who is thinking this way, because we love it.
We do. We do. Right. Should we touch on what trends, if any, we are seeing in the VA industry here in New Zealand and across the ditch?
Yeah. We are seeing a lot of VAs really understand the importance of specializing in a certain area. And there are so many different options and services and niches that virtual assistants can choose from. And we're seeing a lot more people not necessarily using the term virtual assistant either. We've had a number of coaching calls with those who are thinking about coming into the industry, who are in sales roles or project management roles. So I feel like getting really clear on what space you're going to claim inside the VA industry and what services and niche you are going to offer, what specialty service you're going to offer, I think is really important. And I think it's one that everyone coming into the industry should think clearly about.
Yeah, I think we're definitely seeing a lot of the new leads coming in who are thinking about outsourcing. I feel like they are more educated in terms of what to expect when it comes to outsourcing. A lot of them, whereas a couple of years ago, a lot of leads were very much generalist virtual assistant. I want a unicorn virtual assistant that's going to help me with everything. This. I mean, yes, they still do come through occasionally, but we're seeing more and more leads wanting those specialist virtual assistants as well. And in terms of the awards, so the NZVA awards this year, a lot of the winners, they'd got that side of things sussed, right? They know exactly who it is they're targeting and exactly how it is they help them.
Yeah, and we're not saying that there's no place for a general virtual assistant to come into the industry. Like, there are still generalist virtual assistants who can do really well.
Yeah. Okay. These aspiring virtual assistants, all these conversations that we're having with them, which are great, we've definitely been finding ourselves giving pretty much the same advice time and time again in terms of the virtual assistants that we are seeing thrive in this current climate, opposed to the virtual assistants that we are seeing that are struggling to survive. There's definitely two camps, right? And we see this with businesses as a whole. This is not just the VA industry. When the economic climate ends up being in the space that we're in now, you are either going to rise to the top or potentially get down to the bottom, right? Those kind of, all of those gaps that were in your business, but you've been surviving, all of a sudden widen even more.
Yeah, they sure do. And I think we should also talk about the reason why outsourcing is still super popular and going to be even more popular as economic times where we find ourselves now. Because businesses know that it's much more risky to hire an employee than it is to hire, essentially in their mind, what they're probably thinking is a service provider or a contractor, right? To be able to do a role for them. So because that is still on the rise and because it's even more risky to hire employees, I think like the virtual assistant space is only going to grow bigger and bigger. As more people get educated on the benefits of outsourcing, as more people get nervous about hiring employees, as more people start being freelancers, and there's this whole lot of people who are wanting to quit their jobs, have more flexibility, become freelancers. The whole business world is going to start moving that way even more. So I think like really keeping that in mind as you start to think about, is this the right time for me to start the business? Because like as Sam says, there are those who are surviving and those who are really thriving. And we want you, if you are going to enter the space, to thrive. And there's some very clear things that we're going to go through to make sure that you do thrive as a virtual assistant.
I mean, I think you just raised a really good point though, Jo, like in terms of it's times like this that we see our space really kind of
Boom.
It happened with COVID. The same type of thing. It's the same pattern, right? All of a sudden, there was a whole heap of redundancies, a whole heap of, restructures going on big organizations. So we had a group of aspiring virtual assistants all of a sudden needed to make this work. And then we had the business owners that no longer had the employees, but still need to keep stuff running. So how do you do that?
Yeah. You do it with a flexible and scalable service like a virtual assistant, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. So it's exactly, if we're looking at patterns, what we're going through now, we've already done it. We went through it a few years ago and we boomed from it.
Yeah. I think there's some things, especially in the New Zealand market, that are happening that are really positive signals for me. And one is the lowering of interest rates. That is absolutely going to build business confidence as money and access to money gets cheaper, but it's going to have a bit of a delay. So even if the OCR drops, interest rates start coming down with the banks, there's still like people are going to have to come off their fixed rates and onto the new rates, whenever that comes off for them. So there is going to be a bit of a delay, but I think just even knowing that we are now I think we're in like 2.2% inflation, knowing that interest rates are going to come down, knowing that they can start dropping the OCR more because they've got inflation under control. All of this is really good signals for business owners. And I think that's going to give them the confidence to want to grow and figure out how they can get the right people into their organization. And a big part of that is going to be outsourcing. Big part of that is going to be hiring service providers and contractors into their businesses.
Yeah, these are the things we need to focus on. So not just aspiring VAs, but those established that are listening to this episode because you're worried, right? These are the things that we need to focus on rather than the kind of doom and gloom headlines in the newspapers and on the news. I don't watch the news. I stopped watching the news years ago because all it is the bad stuff, and it just makes you think it's only bad stuff that's going on in the world. There's nothing ever good happening. But that's what sells, right? That's what makes good headlines. That's what people click on.
Well, like, we actually do it to ourselves because that is the stuff that we read. We don't read the positive stuff. We actually read the negative stuff, which is why it's like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think remembering that the news is only going to show the negative stuff. And if you want to feel like there's doom and gloom, then watch the news. And if you don't watch the news. It's really bad for your mental health.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah. And also, confirmation bias is a thing, right? As soon as you get something in your head and you start spiraling, you are going to see other evidence to support this story or this narrative that you've got going on, that no, of course my business is going to fail, or no, of course this is the wrong time to be doing this.
I don't think we should brush over that because it's so powerful. Like, this is so powerful. If you want to believe something, if you want to think something, you will go out there and you will find the evidence to support whatever you think or believe. We just talked about this in the Scale Up Mastermind, where like we must focus on what we can control, not what we can't.
Yes.
Focus on what you can control. The things that we're going to go through soon about what VAs are doing that has them thriving, this is the stuff that you can control. So focus on that, not what the economy is doing. Focus on the things you can control.
Yeah. You can't control the economy, can you? Right? You can't control a big organization down the road that's going through a massive restructure and potentially going to lose hundreds of jobs. It's completely out of your control. You're going to spend time and energy. I mean, yes, we can feel sympathetic for those that are being affected, 100%. Like, not being naive about this and not being cruel about it either. But what you can control, a better way of spending that time and energy is on these things we're going to talk about in order to thrive in your business, in this very unique industry.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think we've set the scene. Shall we crack into what we see virtual assistants doing that has them really thriving?
Yeah. Number one, touched on it already. Those VAs with a clear niche. I mean, what a way to stand out from the crowd immediately.
Yeah. And there's two ways to niche. One is that you have a specialty service, or one is that you service a specific industry. So those are two ways to have a really great niche.
Yeah.
You stand out. You stand out and people go, you know what you're talking about because that's all you do. Amazing. I want to hire you because that's what I want.
Yep. Now, whether you've got a niche or not, because it's not all VAs that we see thriving have got a niche. The majority are, a good section do, but there are VAs that are thriving, that are offering generalist virtual assistant services. Those VAs, they may be offering generous virtual assistant services, but they're not offering them to everybody. They've got a very clear ideal client that they are targeting, which means their messaging is super, super clear. Yes, it's so easy for them to get inside the heads of their ideal client.
Because they know who they are and they can speak directly to them on all of their online presence or in their in-person networking. They know exactly what that person is struggling with, what their fears are, what their concerns are, what they need help with. They just understand them completely and they can talk directly to them. Yeah.
And what is it that you say, Jo? You've said it a few times. It's such a goodie about people buy when they feel understood.
People buy when they feel understood, not when they understand you.
Yeah. So what is the best way to understand the person you want to sell to is being really specific about who you are trying to sell to.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't underestimate what clear messaging does. We see it time and time again. It's those that are thriving that have absolutely nailed their messaging. Nailed their messaging. Yeah.
Okay. We've got to talk about it. Pricing. VAs that are thriving currently are those that are pricing profitably. They're making money. They're not pricing because, oh my goodness, I need to be affordable. I need to be cheap. That desperation hasn't got them offering discounts to everybody. So they're actually only earning minimum or barely minimum wage at the end of the week.
Yeah. If you and I go out to try and find a service provider and someone has a really low price, we immediately are turned off by that. And we're like, nope, that's not the one we're hiring because they're not going to be good. They don't have confidence in themselves and what they can deliver. And if they have to price that low, they're in desperation mode and they don't have enough clients. No, we're not going to go with them. We want someone who is priced at the premium level because we know they're going to be good.
And you may be listening to that and going, oh, well, that's just you guys. I know for a fact that my ideal client wants a bargain at the moment because they're struggling themselves. But there is a lot of, I mean, we're judged on so much, right? We're judged on so much before somebody knows us as a virtual assistant, as a business owner. And I don't think virtual assistants, not all virtual assistants, understand that your pricing, you are being judged on your pricing. And if you're pricing too low, exactly as Joe said, people are going to think that you're no good, that you're not going to be able to deliver the goods.
Yeah. The other thing we see with those virtual assistants that are thriving is that they're showing up. They are showing up online. They are showing up at networking events. Whatever mode they've chosen to show up on, they are there and they are consistently doing that. Even if no one is commenting, engaging, liking, they know that there are people who are lurking, watching, and they consistently show up anyway.
Yeah, the feast and famine cycle is a thing. It's a big thing in business. And it's times like this that if you were to lose a client for whatever reason, if you have stopped showing up because you've been fully booked and you're just concentrating on impressing the client and delivering the client work, so you're no longer showing up, you're no longer keeping leads warm, boom, you've suddenly got a massive gap to fill. And that's when the desperation and the panic can set in for you. So just avoid that altogether. By no matter how busy and how booked out you are still somehow showing up. It's so much easier to sell to a warm lead than it is a cold lead. So much easier.
Yeah. And for those who are just getting started or brand new or want to get started, you're going to have to show up. You are going to have to show up every day, somewhere consistently, not on the weekends, don't worry, but showing up consistently on wherever you want to show up. Like this is going to be absolutely key for you. And this flows into this lead generation strategy, like having a clear lead generation strategy that you are consistently doing, whatever it might be. We teach a specific one inside Launch in 30 Days. Lead generation is going to be key and sticking to whatever strategy you have, consistently doing it.
Yeah, the VAs that are thriving are those that aren't relying on referrals. Referrals are great. We love referrals, but they will only get you so far.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about discovery calls because, right now we've got somebody that's showing up and I'm showing up consistently. I never not show up. Can you sell on a discovery call though? Because sales and marketing, they're two very different things.
Yep. Having a very clear process for how you take a lead through your discovery call is going to be the make or break of whether you can convert those leads that you are getting through all your marketing activity into actual sales, into money in your bank account, clients signed up, and them getting started with you. So it can very easily fall apart in that discovery call if you do not have a great process you're taking them through. Because that is the point where they are now needing to make a decision and they are judging you on how confidently you come across in that call, how much you take control of that call, how much you set the agenda of the call, how slick the process is, and have you really dived into the problems that they are having? Are you understanding this person? Because remember, people buy when they feel understood, not when they understand you. I think we see a lot of virtual assistants on a discovery call just speak the whole time and tell them all about the service and how it's going to work, and then expect the person to sign up because I've given them all the information. Why would they not sign up?
It's so true.
They're only going to sign up when they feel understood and that you have an amazing solution to the problem that they have. They can see that value, right? That's super important.
Yes, being able to communicate the value of outsourcing to you, what the return on investment is. Language is so important, right? Timing is important. And I think if we're going to touch on discovery calls, we can't not talk about a follow-up process. They go hand in hand, people.
Yeah. Not just letting someone drift off after and then, maybe you follow them up once or maybe you send them the proposal and then if they wanted to hire me, they'd get in touch. Well, actually, no. The follow-up is so important. People get busy, they forget about it. They are judging you on your follow-up process as well. Like, if you can't follow me up, are you actually going to help me in my business properly and follow up my clients and follow through on projects? They're still judging you on your follow-up process at that point.
Yeah, you think most leads aren't just talking, aren't just having a discovery call with one virtual assistant. They're probably having a discovery call with 2 or 3, I would say, on average. Yep. And for most leads, especially those that have been in business for a while, they've dealt with other service providers, this is not their first time around the block, it would be a red flag for one of those 3 virtual assistants not to follow up. If you don't follow up, I'm going, you don't actually want the work. You don't want to work with me. Okay. I want to work with somebody that is actually enthusiastic about it.
Yeah. Very important. Anything else that you think would make or break this, whether they are surviving or thriving?
I mean, we touched a little bit on the mindset earlier on. I don't feel as though we can brush over it. Mindset's huge. Not getting caught up in this bad economic climate. Now's not the right time to start a business.
Yeah. Just, having that scarcity kind of mindset, right?
Yeah. Or listening to naysayers. You may have shared your idea with, oh God, actually, how many times do we hear this? Do you know what I'm going to say?
Is great aunt coming back for a cameo?
We haven't talked about great Aunt Gertrude for a while. I wasn't actually going to bring up great Aunt Gertrude, but I mean, she could be. This is the perfect opportunity for great Aunt Gertrude to raise her ugly head and start giving you unsolicited advice about an industry that she's got no idea about. Now, great Aunt Gertrude might not actually be your great aunt. She may not be called Gertrude. She could be a partner. She could be a parent. She could be your manager. She could be a colleague. She could be your team lead. We're hearing a lot of this. Aspiring VAs that are sharing kind of, oh, look, I've heard about this and I think I want to do it. For people around them in their 9 to 5 to just go, well, that's not a great idea. Now, they're going to have their own bias around it, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly what I was going to say. Their own personal bias. Yeah.
So ignore the naysayers.
Yeah. It's so hard because I think too, you get super excited about an idea and then you start sharing it and you're hoping that others have the same enthusiasm, and it can be really disheartening if they don't.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Especially if it's somebody that you look up to and respect. Like if it is a team lead, a boss, a manager, whatever that looks like, for them to say, I don't think that's a feasible business idea. I don't think you should do it. Ooh, it's confronting.
Yeah, so we're not going to make any promises of you coming into the industry and it's going to be easy breezy, you're going to get all booked out and it's fine. There are some very specific things that you need to do to set yourself up for success as a virtual assistant and be thriving. So if that feels like you, we believe that this industry is only going to boom even more. Business owners will get their confidence back. This is ebbs and flows and cycles. It's not going to always be like this. The future is outsourcing. The future is using virtual assistants. So if you are in your 9 to 5 and you're thinking maybe you are getting made redundant, maybe you're in a toxic work environment, maybe you've just had this like yearning for, I am made for more than what I'm currently doing now, and you want to come into the VA space, then you got a couple of options. We're having a lot of coaching calls, private coaching calls with those who just want to get a feel for, do I have the right experience in the services that I could offer? And I have a lot of different options that I could go with, and getting some real clarity on that, I think can really help give you the confidence to move forward with your business. And just to have a chat with us, see if this is for you, how you go about it, how you transition out of your role. We can get a lot done in that 1 hour coaching call. So that could be a really good starting point if you are thinking about that. Otherwise, we have our Launch in 30 Days DIY course. So if you want to go through this entire process, set your business up the right way through the process, learn about discovery calls, onboarding clients, a lead generation strategy, all of that good stuff, then we'll drop those 2 links below. So you've got your options there. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Sam and Joe VA Show. If you'd like to find out more, head to the VA Foundry website to check out the mastermind and the amazing resources, courses, and coaching.
You can find us at thevafoundry.com.